Drake and strippers, nothing new here. It's a staple in his stage persona that has morphed into his personal life. I read from an article on Vice where a dancer spoke highly of him and mentioned, if Drake didn't have strippers, what would he have? And it made me think, what would he? Hear me out. The hip hop genre and strippers have a codependent relationship, and Drake is not the first and will not be the last artist to dabble with strippers and reference them by name. But the way we warn people of the girl who has to save the bad boys or the thugs, we have to examine the male equivalent, the Drakes, the men who have to quote unquote save women from the strip clubs. This is a story about a cautionary tale of stereotypes, savior complexes, and paying for love and friendship. Despite this Drake versus everyone beef going on right now, the one area that Drake stands comfortable is the strip clubs.
Say thanks, Drake!
Starless, you know what I'm saying? Sidetalk, though, you know what time it is, man. We're in here, man. I'm wearing Pox ring. They got my baby mom on the wall over there. Get the gal them to come give you guys a little, you know what I'm saying?
But with all the money and fame, Drake is still a 38-year-old single father. How did we get here? Strip clubs back then were different from strip clubs today. It's important I brush on this to emphasize the difference in today's popularity contests. In the 70s and 80s, being a stripper wasn't glorified. The men didn't even mention attendance. It wasn't until the 90s when stripper life spilled to hip-hop culture through TV, music videos, and rap. But even then, many places only wanted a certain type of exotic dancer, referring to those that were thicker or darker to be less attractive or unprofitable, which we still see today, making room for the black clubs that you see on P-Valley or the Players Club. If you attend strip clubs in your city, then you know what I'm referring to. But I live in Atlanta, so if you do too, think of the Cheetah versus Strokers, or even Allure versus Blue Flame. Back then, those women had stage names to separate themselves from their day-to-day and keep shame from their children and families, versus today where the young women aspire to dance straight out of high school and want all that comes with that lifestyle, often using their social media handles as their dancing name. Back then, and in many, many urban places today, dancing was and is a hustle for survival. Either way, whether it's for survival, meaning paying your bills, to keep a roof over your head, to pay for childcare, to get yourself through school, exotic dancing is a woman's choice. Whether she picks it up or leaves the profession, it is up to her. Anyway, that brings us to Houston. And thanks to Jay Prince, the founder of Rap-A-Lot Records, he played a significant role in introducing Drake to Lil Wayne, skyrocketing his career and entering Houston into his heart.
Houston is really where I birthed my entire career. I'm from Toronto, Canada, and I got a phone call from Lil Wayne one day, and he told me he was interested in my music, and he booked me, a flight, and the flight was to Houston. I stayed at the Hotel Derrick. And from that point, I never really left. I was with him for about 2 weeks, and he ended up signing me, and I put out my first mixtape under his watch. And so Houston's really important to me. I have it tattooed on my skin and, in my heart. That was a line I was working on the way here.
In true Drake fashion, being from Canada and all, he threw a Houston Appreciation Week, July 2017, where he threw an over-the-top ceremony and he retired the jerseys of 3 prominent exotic dancers from Houston: Lyra Galore, Miracle Watts, and Malaya Michelle. For those who don't know, Miracle and Lyra were and are still those girls from Houston. My ladies are moms and entrepreneurs now, but baby, back then, not only did they rack up the coins, but they also racked up the appearances, taking over social media, music videos, and magazines. To show the throwback and deep ties, I was even able to find a picture of Lyra and Johnny Blaze, who also has connections to Drake, but child, that's a whole nother story that I do not have time to drag through. But the big bone persona on P-Valley, no, that's for real, baby. She was the real deal. But anyway, the ladies appreciated the gesture as shown on social media. You can see Lyra and Miracle Watts living it up, pictured up with Drake, enjoying themselves, and definitely appreciating retiring, quote unquote, their stripper jerseys. But Malaya Michelle, not so much. Which came as a shock because of the three, not only was she mentioned on his song Miss Me, but she was also featured in his music video for Find Your Love, where ironically, Malaya was in a relationship with a bad man and slept with Drake on the side, ultimately setting him up and staying with her man. Y'all will see a pattern soon. But anyway, she ended up putting that man on blast, saying, y'all just don't know. My only regret is ever trying to explain how much I love dancing and think it's so highly of him that I let his opinion of me mold my opinion of myself. F that, and F you if you got a problem. Y'all don't know that ain't been trying to make me stop dancing, always putting me down about it, always telling me I'm not better than anyone else in the strip club selling A instead of dancing, but he can't stay out the club. Not only can he not stay out of the clubs, but it's in every album and mixtape. A song of unrequited love with a stripper, or lust and bragging of paying for bills and splurging on lifestyles. See, Drake is stuck in the stereotype that dancers need saving. Men like Drake see the career woman or the 9-to-5er and assume to know the story. She has it all together. She went to school. She has a stable home. But he assumes the dancer and bartender went down a bad path that led them to where they are today, whether it be a fatherless home or the single mother who's struggling to pay her school bills or whatever. But the dangers in this is that these days you have both. The 9-to-5 girl takes off her corporate clothes and from 5 to 2 she's dancing. And she's fine with this. She is okay with this decision. She enjoys the art of exotic dancing, the art of feeling seen, the admiration, the science of the hustle. And some men cannot fathom this. Drake retiring a woman of her career choice should be an honor. Men with money and status that were denied in the past due to lack of it feel that turning them down with it is impossible. Now, don't get me wrong, this works for the dancers. They benefit from the Louis Vuitton bags, the Chanels, the $500K or more per visit. But he fails to remember that when it comes to this, it could be a problem. Who wouldn't turn up the trauma when Champagne Poppy walks in with more money than people will see in an entire generation? But with Drake, is it really looking for love or is he looking for control?
And that is supportive of the things I'm doing. Have to be somebody that has taste in music. It'd have to be somebody that, you know, that I get along with so much to the point that when we're separate, I'm feeling like I can't function properly without their presence. I have come across it a few times. Yeah. I've yet to be able to hold on to it for whatever reason. But yeah, I just really...
In the end, I feel bad for Drake, who recently rented out a whole strip club to gamble by himself. It says a lot about a man who finds comfort and companionship from women he pays, but even more about the man who meets a dancer in a strip club and works tirelessly to get her from that place, who receives highs from snatching it all back whenever they feel like it or whenever they deem it possible. When you date 10 people and the outcome is the same, when do you take a look in the mirror at yourself? In the end, will Drake and men like him ever find true love? Or do they only want a love they can buy to love them back?